All right.
Would be, I would think.
I call the regular meeting of the Milliken Board of Trustees for May 24th, 2023 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, will the town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Beckman? Here. Trustee Dean? Here. Trustee Lane?
Here.
Trustee Meisner?
Here.
Trustee Wakeman?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here. Thank you. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight? No. Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, first up tonight, we're going to have an update from Don Stonebrink, our Water and Wastewater Department, on our recent flood issues. If anybody is here to talk about the flood, we'll have you speak after Don speaks, rather than citizens' comments, okay? Don, please join us.
Evening, Mayor, trustees. I just want to give you a quick update on the incident we had last week, or the week before, I guess. Just a quick timeline to let you know, with all the flooding, all of the water wastewater guys are out with Public Works helping with that. So the incident wasn't even discovered until it was after 9 o'clock. And immediately they found that the water treatment plant was shut down and that it looked like the blend water tank had been infiltrated with stormwater. So they isolated that tank from the system and they immediately took samples from fire hydrants going out from there in the system. All those samples looked good, tested positive for chlorine, conductivity was low, so it didn't look like there was any mineral content in the water. At that point, we contacted the Department of Health. That was about 10:25. We got their emergency line. That's generally a dispatcher that didn't really have any answers for us. So they contacted engineering. They got back to us about 11 o'clock. We talked to their engineering folks, one Tyson Engel, for about 30 minutes. And he basically told us that it looked like there was barely a remote possibility from everything that we told him that we had contamination, that it was a gray area. He wasn't going to force us to do a boil advisory and left that up to us. Looking at all the timestamps, I had our SCADA guy involved. I talked to our water engineer, and there was no way for us to positively say that that infiltration happened after the water treatment plant shut down. So at that point, I talked to Town Administrator Powell and said, I think a boil advisory at this point is probably a good idea. She agreed. So I contacted the state and they put that together. So at 12:19 p.m., we received that. We went with the webpage, Facebook, Nextdoor, and Code Red. So the boil order came out at 20 after 12. At 12:59, between 12:59 and 1:08 p.m., we had 603 emails, 1,138 texts, 2,293 phone notifications all went out. Code Red also notifies fire and police, as well as staff had done that. Town staff had also contacted the school superintendent to let them know, and all businesses in town that had anything to do with food. So within, 2 hours of that notice coming out, we had done as much notification as we could, other than answering phone calls and giving people what information they would ask for at that point. We my staff and part of the Public Works folks, parks, streets, and facility maintenance staff went out and started flushing hydrants, working out from the plant across the system. And within 24 hours had flushed over 1 million gallons of water through the system. And that's, without the water treatment plant. And it should be noted too that the water treatment plant is only about 10% of the town's overall water supply. The other 90% comes from the north, from Greeley, and from the south, from Central Weld. So by taking that plant offline, it doesn't hurt us that much. That plant's more for peaking in the summer. It gives us that additional flow. About 4 p.m., the Weld County Health Department came out. They collected samples from the system and to analyze. We continued to flush into the night through the next day. Took 24 hours for those samples to be analyzed. They came back negative. There wasn't any E. coli present. At that point, we took all the information about notification, the locations of the fire hydrants, the volumes that we knew of, passed that to the Department of Health. They issued the rescind order. So within 30 hours of the initial issuing, it was rescinded. The issue at the water plant was an overflow that, because of the flood waters coming up, that water had backflowed in. It was an old design, early 2000, and what we have done is those overflow pipes are now sealed. We've got SCADA controls that if the tank gets to a certain level, it will shut the plant down anyway. So those overflow pipes are sealed, and if we choose in the future to do something overflow-wise, we will incorporate that into the piping and the plumbing with the Frontier system that will be offline. And that way it can overflow somewhere, but there's no chance of backflow into the plant. But at this point right now, it's sealed. That plant would have to be underwater before it could happen again. Plant is up and running. We have been for a few days now. So that's kind of where we're at. Anybody has any questions?
Okay, so I was reviewing the documentation we received from the Department of Health. We had some common questions from citizens. Did we need to flush lines, change filters? We didn't receive any indication that citizens needed to conduct this. So I believe that was discretionary up to the citizen. Is that correct?
Yeah, not to my knowledge. I mean, I talked to the state on and off by phone most of the day, and I don't remember anything like that. We were more concerned about getting into the system and getting water through the system,
Right.
getting it flushed. The boil order was if something was into the system, if it got to a residence, we didn't want anybody to drink that water until we had flushed the system thoroughly and had tested the water to be sure that that system was indeed safe.
Okay.
Now, the calls I took, if somebody asked me about flushing their lines, my answer would be, it can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't tell them no, but.
Okay. Questions from board members? Anybody? Okay, just to recap, we did have a meeting. We have a few suggestions that we're going to undertake. One thing that's already been updated is our website. When we posted the boil order notice, it went under news, so you had to click down a couple of times. From now on, if we have something of this type of emergency, it will remain on the very front. So we've overcome that. We will have a booth, and the police department has volunteered to help at Beef and Bean Day to get more people signed up for Code Red notices. If there were 2,293 phone calls that went out to people in the Milliken area, we have 3,337 homes and businesses. So clearly, not everybody is signed up. So we want to undertake that endeavor because it's not just for, this type of emergency. It is also for tornadoes and other hazardous conditions. So we want to make sure that residents remain safe, and it is the most effective way to reach people in this day of social media. just so you're aware, we did calculate it out, because if we had gone door to door, 3 minutes per house, that would have taken 10,011 minutes. Divided by 60, it would be 166 hours. At 8 hours a day, that would have taken a staff of 20 people. We only had 23 people working, so that was an impossible task for us to undertake. People wouldn't have been notified in time, since it was noon when this all started. And we are a bedroom community, so a lot of people, they're not even home, they're at work. So it would have been a futile effort, needless to say. So we do think that electronic notification is the way to go, and we want to get everybody updated with that. Our staff worked very diligently. We do have PowerPoint slides of what they were tackling. Don was waist deep in water at one point. So that we will do a follow-up with the community to advise them. There was a lot of road base that was brought in. We did have some challenges that the board was made aware of. We have people that drove around roadblocks. That is very dangerous. We need to really update the citizens. You don't know if there's a road there. You don't know if it's washed out. Could hit one of our workers. So we want to make people aware not to drive around roadblocks. It was very chaotic in the beginning. And I think that kind of encapsulates what we discussed. Board members have any additional comments?
We're going to put some information about the Code Red in our newsletter too that we put out every month.
Yes.
So it'll be there too, besides the booth. So that'll be good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, I think we have some citizens here that want to speak. So Don, thank you very much for your presentation and updating us. It was very helpful. Okay, normally we have citizens speak during citizens comment, but since this was an extraordinary event, we're going to have you talk at this time, and we don't have the 3-minute limit. So please go ahead and approach the podium. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'm Cynthia Lawson, and I live at 140 Bobcat Drive, Milliken, Wildcat Acres. If you don't mind, I'm going to read this because I can't remember all of it. I'm here tonight to discuss the unprecedented damage that has occurred in Wildcat Acres. On May 9th, during the severe storm, we sustained damage that is hard to believe. As you can see from the pictures, we had debris come in with 3 to 4 feet of water that is still in our backyards. This debris, in some places, is 2 to 3 feet deep. We have no way of removing the debris, which now has mosquitoes, moles, voles, snakes, and other vermin we can't even imagine. This situation is minor, though, compared to the very frightening fire hazard, which is only a few feet from our houses. This situation could be tragic. We are pleading with our city and the county for any help they can provide. We are totally at a loss as to what to do to remove this dangerous problem. If the city could possibly furnish dump trailers and/or dumpsters for us and a place to dump them, hopefully we could get our family, friends, and neighbors to help load this up. Hiring this done is almost prohibitive. One trucking company said they would start at $10,000 and see where it went from there, and that was just for one property. This project is going to take several pieces of heavy equipment to move the debris out. Maybe the city might have some equipment. On behalf of the 4 neighbors needing help with the debris and the fire hazard, as we are in the city limits, we would greatly appreciate all the help we can get. Thank you very much for your consideration to this matter.
Thank you for coming down. Mrs. Lawson, do we have your contact information? So that if there's some sort of coordinated effort we could do. I do believe that this community is a small community, and we would put out a call for volunteer groups to come out and help with some sort of cleanup effort. So maybe we can get some additional volunteers out and coordinate something.
Well, that would be wonderful. I do have a letter here with my name and phone number on it.
That would be great.
Okay.
The heavy equipment is something we're going to have to explore because I don't know what we could do about that. But certainly, you know, we can come together as a community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Kruzmark, and I live at 100 Bobcat Drive in Wildcat Acres. I'm going to start with just the story of events that I witnessed so that you guys can all understand what we did go through that night. May 9th, 10th, approximately 10 p.m., hard hail, lots of rain and wind. Approximately 12:30 a.m., our neighbors, the Robertos on Bobcat, text me that there was a river coming down from above flowing in our front area everywhere. Our retainage pond is full and we believe the road is washed out. The corner house, the Pucketts, is out looking around as the ditch from Road 21 is coming onto their property and flooding their shop. I went and looked outside and saw the back cattails were a complete lake. I've lived there for 20 years. It was a lake. It was unbelievable. We had a river running in the front of our property and water is everywhere. Approximately 12:45, I heard the hail stop and the sound I thought was to be a tornado. The noise stopped and I went to look outside and our shed had been pushed over 50 feet from the back of our property to our shop. The cattails, trailers, and water was covered our back property. It was 3 to 4 feet in height and debris. Then we saw the fire department within 10 minutes. The Puckett's house got hit on the corner. The fire department was called in to help. The fire department considered a boat into the subdivision. The river that hit the road was roaring so loud it sounded like we were in the mountains. The water was washing out the entrance to the road. The Puckett's house was up to the firefighters' knees in water for them to get into the house to carry out the children and the family that was stranded. Thankfully, Kelly Puckett had the instinct when hearing the noises to get her children to higher ground. 3 children in the basement are safe now, and it could have been more tragic. Could this have been prevented? Yes. The water, maybe not. The flooding, maybe not. Just a little flooding. But to this extent, yes, it could have been prevented due to years of not maintaining the back properties. We've lived in this house for 20 years. Our pond has overflowed 5 times due to a storm. The wrong drainage direction from the back properties and the small culvert is a big issue in the damage to our properties. Every year we have our main road flood due to the storm. Who's responsible? We have tried to divert the water and save the road a few years ago and got a warning that if we were to do this again, that there would be consequences. The town annexed us in, and this is the town of Milliken Storm Waterway as the storm master plan has been drawn up, and the properties that are owned behind us is by Centennial Crossing Metro District, and the Paragon Creek HOA is a part of this. If my shed ended up on the neighbor's yard, am I responsible? Would these landowners also be held accountable in the maintenance of this property for the future? The buildup and the piles of the cattails are a fire issue. If not taken care of, we could have a Superior, Colorado on our hands. 18 years ago, these cattails were maintained and mowed and dredged out. The water flowed properly until the property was sold and not maintained anymore. I asked the town to take this seriously and save our homes and our investments. We would love a plan and open communication from you, and we would like to be communicated on the progress forward and possibly just put our heads together and help us figure out the future of the back properties, the homeowners, the HOA that is somewhat non-existent, but yet there. We've put a lot of time into our properties, and there is a spring up above that someone owns that keeps opening and closing, and that's flooding properties, and the water is just not diverted properly. And we don't have the resources, nor do we have the experience. So I'm asking you as a town to help us fix this problem if we can come together as a community. Thank you so much, Michelle Kruzmark.
Thank you. So we did have a presentation this evening, just so you're aware, by our Streets and Facilities Director, and he is working with the Department of the Army Corps of Engineers. Yes. So it has not gone unnoticed, but we do have to involve other agencies, just so you're aware. Okay. Sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Goebel. I live at 220 Bobcat Drive. I'm here this evening to discuss the flood problem at the east end of our Wildcat Acre subdivision. This latest event took place on the night of the 9th and 10th of May this year. According to my rain gauge, we received 4+ inches of rain that night. We are praying that the forecasted thunderstorms do not materialize. We're just now getting dry enough to get in the areas of our property to try to start the cleanup. I prepared a packet of pictures for each of you. These pictures represent 3 of the 5 homes affected. I did not get pictures of the 2 most impacted properties, one with a flooded basement and the other with a shed that was moved with the impact of the flash flood and 2 to 3 feet of debris. This is the second time in the past 10 years we have had a major problem like this. There has to be a remedy to this problem. The flooding also occurs when our back neighbors leave the ditch gates open or flood irrigates his pasture. There is not a true farmer's ditch that I could locate. The source of this water is what appears to be a spring at the southwest corner of our subdivision or an underground pipe that has failed. The water coming out of the ground several days ago when I was up there, absolutely crystal clear. I wish I had that spring on my property. It would be a great source of irrigation water. There's not a true farmer's ditch like, okay. What is the most needed at this time is a place to take all this debris. It is a mixture of cattails, corn cobs, and corn stalks with a fair amount of horse and cow manure. We're not asking the town to clear our property. Just allow us to place this on the street and the town remove it or a location that is close for us to haul it to. Thank you for your time this evening, and we look forward to working with the town to solve this problem. If you have any questions or would like to view the area, give us a call or stop by. Ralph Goebel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other additional comments on the flood? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any, and I'm losing my voice, so bear with me. We've been not sleeping. So on the night of the 9th, our basement, I'm Kelly Puckett.
And your address?
I live at 51 Bobcat Drive.
Thank you.
Our lower level, I don't even call it a basement because it's a bi-level home. Our lower level flooded. We had about 4 to 5 feet of water in there. 4 of our kids live down there. Everything was ruined. We've had to rip up drywall. Sorry, I'm not really ready for this.
Take your time.
It's been a disaster. And we're right at 2 weeks and we're still displaced from our home. We can't live there. And I guess I'm just coming to see what there is that you guys can offer us, what you can help us with. We've had so many volunteers, which has been awesome. The small community has been amazing. But our goal is to get back home, and it's going to be a while. And we have 5 kids total, 2 dogs and a cat. Again, we had to be rescued off the front porch of our house, which I never thought would happen. So if there's anything that you guys can do to help us out, that would be appreciated.
Any other flood comments, flood statements? Please.
Hello, Mayor and Board of Directors. I'm Sheena McCallett. I'm the principal of Civica, so 301 Centennial Drive. I'm so sorry you guys are going through all of that. Let me just start with that, and then I kind of want to just tell you what the experience with the water, the boil order was from an administrator in this town. I want you guys to know that perspective. But while you guys are navigating this, you know I have 150 well-bodied people in my building who would be more than happy to volunteer if you guys need. I'm a high school principal and a middle school principal. I have amazing parents. So if we need to come together to volunteer to help remove this, or I mean, the other day, my local landscaper brought a machinery in and I just paid the daily rate. Or if you need me to raise money, whatever you need, I'm the contact that's behind, hundreds of parents and the children over in the corner. So remember me with that. With your code red, if you need me to communicate the code red to all of the Milliken families, I would be more than happy to do that also. So just know, I'm wanting to do that. I just wanted to kind of tell you guys, so when the Boyle order came in, so I'm the principal of the school, a parent let me know. I was very easily able to talk to the mayor. She very clearly told me what was going on. It was very clear to me that this was precautionary, that we didn't need to put the sirens on, okay? So made a very common sense decision. I shut off the water fountains, right? And then I was able to see what the advisory was. I directed all of my parents, any communication that they want about water or the town comes to the town. I don't talk about water. Dawn doesn't talk about academic advising, right? So I let the parents know, tomorrow just send your students with bottled water. We shut down the water fountains. I was able to have a long conversation with Dawn. I was very clear that the rumors in town about the septic leak wasn't true. I found out quick that there wasn't a water main break, but I didn't send out and cause chaos. I was able to talk to the people who knew what was going on. I opened my building. The town came in and took a water sample that afternoon. It was very easy, and for you to contact me at any time, I will open that building up to you guys. And we shut the fountain off. The kids drank bottled water, and that evening it was cleared. I think I had everything I needed to make those decisions at that school level and protect those children. I think everybody had the opportunity to follow that chain of command. I feel like all the information that the families needed and that I needed was on the website or right at the end of a phone call. So anybody has access to the mayor, and I appreciated that you took all of my phone calls. When the families called in and they wanted to ask me about water, I directed them to the email and the phone number that was on file. And I feel like we had everything we needed to navigate that situation. And in the future, anytime you need me to open that building up, I felt it was very effective. And I know it was probably disastrous on your end. And I don't know how many phone calls you get, because I put my cell phone number out one day, and that's the gift that's just been given for 2 years. So, but I wanted you guys to know from my perspective that as an administrator who is responsible for 180 people in a building, I had everything I needed to make those decisions and to protect those children. We didn't call off school. I mean, I think I could write a book with the comments, like, my kid can't come to school because we couldn't do laundry. Unless you're drinking the laundry water. I don't know why we're not doing that, but you know what I mean? Like, it was like, you guys, this is just precautionary, just we're not gonna drink out of the water fountains for a day. And it was very clear to me. So I appreciate that you guys had that communication with me, and I think if everyone just kind of follows that chain of command, that worked itself out just well. And just remember, Cheryl, always reach out to me about Code Red. Anything that we can do with these families, I can have many, many people there at any time, and we would do anything. You know, we love this community a lot. I'm so sorry you guys are going through that. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank you,
coming down.
yes.
Any other comments on the flood concerns? Okay, there's no further.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
I think it's important that we once again thank our public works departments, parks, everybody that was involved, because we did have an awesome turnout from our staff and all that they were able to accomplish. And so I don't want to lose sight in that. I feel for all of you that have had to deal with this, but our staff was awesome through all of it, including administration. Yes.
Thank you.
Could I say something?
Yes.
I I've been on the board for just a year, so this is the first time I've experienced anything like this. And it's hard to hear. But as a town, it's good to know that there's people that care. And I don't know legally what we can do, like in our newsletter, to bring up the issues out at Wildcat Acres, and maybe if we can legally put the GoFundMe thing for some of the families. That I don't know if we can do that or not, but we can at least talk to Johnstown Breeze. I'm sure if there's a representative here, sometimes they just watch it online. I don't know. But I think we need to do everything we can to get the word out, because a lot of people aren't aware, because like in my neighborhood on South Olive, it was just a nice rain. It was a heavy rain. We had no idea that the street department was out doing what they were doing. We got the notice about the water around 1 o'clock or whatever time it was, and I was totally unaware what was going on until later. So I think that our community needs to be aware through our newsletter, through the Johnstown Breeze, and I think it's awesome that one of our high schools is willing to help out. But yeah, I think we should do everything in our power to help these poor people out. And it's a lot of debris. A lot of debris. I've been out there just to look at it, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming down. Appreciate it.
Any other final comments? All right. Now we actually have official citizens' comment. Is there anybody that wants to comment on something other than the flood and the water? Concerns or comments? Okay. All right, if there are none, we'll move on to the meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or comments on the meeting minutes of May 10th, 2023? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of the paid list of bills. Does any board member have any question on the bills that have been paid for the past month? Hearing no questions there, we'll move on to the town administrator's report. Administrator Powell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and trustees. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge, my deep sympathy for everything that happened out there. I did go out there to Wildcat Acres with our streets director, John Rabus, and yes, it was quite devastating to see all that happened. I want to assure all of you that we are looking into everything that can be done. John had already put a call into the Army Corps and has spoken to somebody there from Weld County that he's hoping to get out, and they're going to look at the area to see if there is anything that can be done, because of course it's a wetland, so they have to be very careful about what's done. But in that also, during our work session today, we discussed the box culverts that are in those ditches. And so we're going to have our engineering firm look at those, because that was done in 2014 by Icon Engineering. So we're going to have our current engineering firm look at those and help us with pricing of what some of those culverts would be. And then place maybe some of this in our capital improvement plan for next year. But I want you to know that we are definitely looking at this, and was there in 2014. It's just, these items are expensive, and you try to take care of them all. We're finally just getting to Cherry Street, which, thankfully we received a grant for a good portion of it. So those folks that were impacted real heavily in 2013 will have storm drainage in their area, which they've never had. But I will keep communicating with any of you. Any of you can call me. I will let you know what I know. As far as equipment goes, I need to speak to probably our attorney and maybe our insurance company to see what we need to do in order to provide some assistance. So anyway, hopefully we can get the Army Corps out there quick. Also, I met with Johnstown. Steph and I met with Johnstown last week to further discuss the Hillsborough change case. The water attorneys will be preparing a common interest confidentialities agreement and also a memorandum of understanding, which will be brought to the trustees, to all of you at the end of the month. End of next month, sorry, end of June. Town Attorney Matt Gould and I have been working with Comcast on a franchise agreement, so that's moving along. So hopefully we'll be bringing that to you soon. Excuse me. The last correspondence I had with ALA was on May 17th. They apologized for the delay in getting back to me. They indicated that they have a number of new communities that they are working through with their board. So they were going to get back to me at the end of that week.
Is it possible for Comcast and Allo to dig at the same time?
It is.
Ideally?
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure. When you have things torn up, it's better to do it all at once. So.
Yeah.
And if you notice, there's 4 memorial banners on our light poles that were placed by our Public Works crew yesterday. So Keith and Jason had those done these were the banners that were shown to us from the Historical Society. So as they get additional ones, we will place those up there as well. So we did want to have some up, which were the 4 that are up there before Memorial Day.
Is that going to be in the newsletter again?
I'm sorry.
How was that? Was that in the newsletter? Did I see that?
Regarding the
banners? I can't remember.
Unless
I just saw it somewhere.
if we put an article in there, maybe for the Historical Society, I don't know.
I think so.
It could have been.
I saw it somewhere. Maybe again on Memorial Day or one close to Memorial Day. Yeah. Just as a reminder.
Yeah. So anyway, I think they look very nice. I think it's quite an honor. So that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Any questions for the town administrator? Okay. Hearing none. We have nothing on the consent agenda. First item is consideration and adoption of ordinance number 804, amending Article 9 of Chapter 2 of the Milliken Municipal Code. Matt Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. This ordinance is one that has been discussed a couple of times in work sessions. It makes some relatively modest changes to the provisions of our code that set rules for the Community Justice Council. So this was last discussed, I believe, at the May 10th work session. It was one minor change. There is a red line attached for you to see what's changing in the code, and there's a proposed motion in the memorandum. So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions? Trustee Wakeman?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have some questions regarding the election of officers on the council, and I'm not familiar exactly what procedure they would follow, but my question is, if they elect somebody from within the board for minutes, how does the town keep track of these minutes and keep a record of it, so that, or is that necessary?
Well, so there are a couple of things in these rules of governance. First, one of which is that the council itself can establish its own procedural rules, and then they keep their own minutes. That would be a public record, subject to the same rules of core that the town is subject to. And so, does that answer your question? I'm not sure it does.
No, not exactly. My concern is if it's a private citizen, not an employee of the town, that does the record keeping, how do we be sure that if the town is responsible for them, that we have access to those records?
Well, one avenue would be through requesting a report, which is the one provision that was added at the request of somebody during the work session last time. So it would be to request a report on these items at pretty much any time. And if the Board of Trustees is not satisfied, then, you know, we could revisit that issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, and, you know, and perhaps I'm the one that is being overly cautious on this. If no one else has any concern about it, then maybe I'm extreme.
Well, I wouldn't say that at all. I would say that we can certainly add some additional, you know, provisions if we think that they're important. The other thing that the board can do is review whatever rules of conduct this board prepares for itself, approves for itself. And again, if they're not satisfactory, then we can give further direction.
There is a provision in the ordinance that requires the secretary to keep minutes.
It does.
But it does not say anything about copies to the town or and because it's a
Public record.
town entity, I feel that we're leaving ourselves a little bit vulnerable to not have a tight procedure on how that information is provided to the town.
We can add that to the motion.
Certainly, we could add that to the motion. We could just put a phrase in that requires that those minutes be shared with the town clerk.
May I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Are they not subject to the same rules as the town is?
Yes, I believe they would be.
Pardon?
They would be.
Yes, and all town committees are required to keep and maintain minutes and turn them into the town. Is that not correct?
Maintain minutes, I'm not sure that that's true, but they would be subject to KORA, so their records would be open, and they'd be subject to the same kinds of KORA requests, just like any document custodian would be.
Is somebody from the town going to be attending these meetings, like Sylvia or somebody that's associated with?
Most likely Sylvia.
So could she be the in-between?
Whoever, I think,
Or
whoever is
on the town's behalf?
is chosen as secretary there, then perhaps when they approve their minutes from their prior meetings or whatever, because that's how it's usually done, then Sylvia could be given a copy of those minutes so we can put them in a permanent record at the town hall.
That would work.
I think that would be the easiest.
Do we have any other councils, committees that are responsible for their own minutes and tracking that information? I'm thinking maybe Housing Authority.
The Housing Authority does.
Okay.
Trustee Lane, any questions?
I have none.
Trustee Meisner?
No, I have none.
Trustee?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Trustee Mead? And Mayor?
None.
There we go. All right, I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to adopt ordinance number 804, an ordinance of the town of Milliken amending Article 9 of Chapter 2 of the Milliken Municipal Code regarding the Community Justice Council.
Second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
No.
Trustee Beckman?
Yes.
Trustee Dean?
Yes.
Trustee Lane?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consideration and adoption of resolution number 2309, a resolution to schedule hearing and approval notice for ordinance number 806. Matt Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. The main issue to be aware of here that I do want to draw your attention to, this is a code that is being adopted by reference, which is a standard practice with regard to building codes. However, we are proposing that it be given immediate effect because the legislature essentially set a deadline for enacting these codes and putting them into effect. If we pass that deadline, then we may have to pass it's an energy code that would be more costly for builders to comply with. So tonight, the only thing that the board is considering is whether to set this for hearing. There's a resolution and a motion that's been presented, but I do want to highlight the fact that we're recommending that this be given immediate effect. And there's language in the ordinance that would accomplish that.
Understood. And what is the date?
And then Jose, I think, is here. If you have any questions about exactly what the code addresses, the technical aspects of the code that's being proposed for approval, we're basically just updating from the 2012 to the 2018 version. And this brings us into, and I'm looking, make sure I'm right. This essentially brings us into compliance with the statutory requirements that were imposed.
Okay. All right, questions from the board, starting with Trustee Dean.
No questions.
Trustee Beckman?
No questions.
Trustee Lane?
No questions.
Trustee Wakeman?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
I don't have any questions.
No, I think it's pretty clear. Thank you. I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve resolution number 23-09, scheduling a hearing on possible adoption of the 2020 edition of the NFPA 20 National Electrical Code and approving the form of notice for the hearing.
I second.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for just a second.
Did-
I'm sorry, that is a valid motion. I apologize. Go right ahead.
Don't we need the effective immediately?
No, it's resolution.
That'll be in the ordinance.
That'll be in the ordinance.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Beckman,
Yes.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Lane,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is consideration and adoption of resolution number 2310, a resolution to schedule hearing and approval notice for ordinance number 807. Matt Cole, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. So this is another code that is similarly postured and that we are also recommending for immediate approval. This is essentially our electric code. What triggered the need to present this to you is that we discovered that there was some automatic language in our existing code that is somewhat in conflict with the rules regarding adoption of codes by reference. And therefore, the 2020 electric code has been enforced already, and we just need to formally adopt it. I hope that makes sense.
Questions, Trustee Dean?
Yes, I'm looking at it. Is this 807, did you say?
Yeah, the one that, the electric code was the one before.
We're on the energy.
I'm sorry. I've got them mixed up, and that's why I interrupted you a minute ago. So this is the energy code.
Energy, yeah.
And really, the key issue here is simply that we need to get it heard and adopt this code effective immediately. I apologize for confusing the two ordinances.
Any other questions? Trustee Beckman?
No.
Trustee Wakeman?
So this is the 2018
Yeah, energy
energy
conservation.
code, right?
Yes,
At one point, you said 2020, so I just wanted to clarify that.
that applied to the previous ordinance,
Yes.
and I apologize for
I got
creating that
that, yeah.
confusion.
Okay. Trustee Lane?
No questions.
Trustee Meisner?
I have no questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
No questions.
I will take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve the resolution number 23-10, scheduling a hearing on possible adoption of the 2018 International Energy Conservation Code and approving the form of the notice for the hearing.
I second.
Town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Beckman,
Yes.
Trustee Dean,
Yes.
Trustee Lane,
Yes.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great. Next item on the agenda, very exciting. Consideration and adoption of Resolution 2311, approving the purchase of CBT shares of water. Cheryl Powell, Town Administrator.
Yes, Mayor. So I had spoken to all of you, I think about a month ago, that a person contacted me that had some units of CBT available that they were trying to sell. They had given me one price for those per share at that time. And after speaking to you, I went back and negotiated with them to a lower price. So we were able to obtain these for $70,000 per unit, as we did the other 25 units that we purchased a while back.
Questions from the board? Trustee Wakeman?
No questions.
Trustee Lane?
No questions.
Trustee Meisner?
No questions.
Trustee Beckman?
No questions.
Trustee Dean?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
No questions.
Yep, very clear. So I'll take a motion on the matter.
I move to approve a resolution number 23-11, a resolution of the Town of Milliken, Colorado, approving the contract for purchase of 2 units, Northern Colorado Water Conservatory District Class D, allotment water, and designating the town administrator to sign closing documents.
A second.
Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the
Thank you.
next item on the agenda is an executive session. It's consideration of possible action regarding case number 2022 CV 030770 filed in Will County District Court. I will take a motion on moving us to executive session.
I move that we enter executive session pursuant to section 24-6-4024E of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiations, and instructing negotiators with respect to case number 2022 CV 030770 filed in Will County District Court by the Town of Milliken, related to operation of the selenium treatment system at the town's reverse osmosis water treatment plant, and section 24-6-4024B of the Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the town attorneys on specific legal questions related to the same proceeding.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Lane.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Beckman.
Yes.
Trustee Dean.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
In the meeting will be all board members, Town Administrator Cheryl Powell, Director of Water Wastewater Don Stonebrink, Town Clerk Carrie Reinberger, and the Town Attorneys Jed Scott and Matt Gould. We will break for at least 10 minutes to clear the room and set up for the executive session. All right, are there any board reports tonight? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. We're out.